A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are as nothing compared with the glory to be revealed for us. For creation awaits with eager expectation the revelation of the children of God. For creation was made subject to futility, not of its own accord, but because of the one who subjected it, in hope that creation itself would be set free from slavery to corruption and share in the glorious freedom of the children of God. We know that all creation is groaning in labor pains even until now, and not only that, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, we also groan within ourselves as we wait for adoption, the redemption of our bodies. For in hope we were saved. Now hope that sees for itself is not hope. For who hopes for what one sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait with endurance. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord has done marvels for us.
The Lord has done marvels for us.
When the Lord brought back the captives of Zion, we were like men dreaming. Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with rejoicing.
The Lord has done marvels for us.
Then they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. We are glad indeed.
The Lord has done marvels for us.
Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the torrents in the southern desert. Those that sow in tears shall reap rejoicing. The
Lord has done marvels for us.
Although they go forth weeping, carrying the seed to be sown, they shall come back rejoicing, carrying their sheaves. The
Lord has done marvels for us. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. Jesus said, "What is the kingdom of God like? To what can I compare it? It is like a mustard seed that a man took and planted in the garden. When it was fully grown, it became a large bush, and the birds of the sky dwelt in its branches." Again he said, "To what shall I compare the kingdom of God? It is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of wheat flour until the whole batch of dough was leavened." The Gospel of the Lord. It's interesting to me that at least in the lectionary here, and I will presume that if you were following along in something like Magnificat, it would be printed in the same kind of way. The line, "the birds of the sky dwelt in its branches," is printed in italics, as though it were a quotation or a citation. Why is that the case? Because, in fact, the phrase, "birds of the sky," winds up being a metaphor for the Gentiles, for the pagans. So in other words, in the kingdom, there's room for quite a lot of people. Even the birds of the air can find a place in the kingdom of God. Interesting kind of insight. What is also interesting is understanding the mustard seed itself. Because if the mustard seed is taken and planted in the garden, then we know, and it's the famous saying from John's Gospel, unless the grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. There it is, that the grain of mustard seed also has to die and decompose and rot and everything else before the new life can come up and before the bush can grow. So there's a pattern of death and resurrection involved even in the mustard seed. And I think that that's one reason that I'm willing to tie together. It's not that the lectionary is doing this on any kind of deliberate basis, but I'm tying together that with the first reading that we had today from St. Paul, from the 8th chapter of the letter to the Romans, where he reminds us that the sufferings are what go on in this present world. That's the death of the mustard seed, and that it is impossible to compare the glory that is to be revealed in us, the bush, with the range of size that allows even the birds of the air, the Gentiles, to be welcomed into its embrace. It's impossible to even understand the glory that is to be revealed in us. And so several times in our first reading, Paul either uses the word or the concept of hope, because we're waiting in joyful expectation for that great promise. The promise that, in fact, is the reason why every single one of us can also be welcomed into the kingdom. I don't see too many Jews here. I don't think. So what we're doing then today is celebrating the process. And also, we're being asked to be open to the idea that we also should be like mustard seed. We also should be willing to die to self for the sake of the glory of the kingdom. For the glory of the kingdom that we can enjoy, but for the glory of the kingdom that we, because we are there, can share with others to welcome them in as well, all the birds of the air. So we can give thanks to God for the welcome that all people have to be part of the mustard seed and part of the great bush. Let us stand and pray.